Here we go with PMDG at the gate with power established. We're now going to go into the FMC and set up for the initial FMC setup. So we click the FMC and we give it to the position entry. We set the airport using this tab here. We're at Melbourne, so Yankee Mike Lima, and then into the reference airport. Go over to the route page, then you'll enter your route. In this case we're going to Hong Kong. Yankee Mike Lima is where we're going from. Victor H is Hong Kong, which is our destination. I'll set that in like that. In this case I have a co-route set, so I'll take that, which is Melbourne to Hong Kong. This is the IATA routing system, route number 1. So I'm now setting Melbourne to Hong Kong route number 1 into the co-route, which as you can see has taken. And if you look down on your navigation display, you'll see that there is in fact a route now set up in blue that is taking us all the way up to Hong Kong. Pretty much one hit. Set activate and execute, and then the route will become active once the flight management computer comes back online. You can see it is active by the fact that the colour is now purple. You can now go and verify that the route is accurate. Across to the legs page, and you'll see all the waypoints. So now let's go to initial reference and set your zero fuel weight just by clicking on it, and that will automatically fill out in whatever weight you are. For reserves I usually take place the value of 8 there. Cost index, I'm going to go 100. Set that in. Be even, reasonably heavy today, so initial climb flight level 320, and the step size should be modified to 2,000 feet since we are in RVSM airspace, not ICAO, which would be the non-RVSM. Then you go to thrust limit, select outside air temperature. I usually give it 10 degrees more. You can look it up on a chart if you want to. Set to the takeoff page. Today we're quite heavy, so we'll need flaps 20 for departure. That sets that in there, and as you saw, it almost auto-fills all this stuff out. Requirements. Just click all these to make them bold, including the center of gravity system, which will make the trim 6.0. You can then come up to the trim, have a look at your system here, and as you can see it is currently set to about 4. We'll keep that moving down to 6. Okay, now the trim is set as required, and as you can see the pre-flight is complete. Just recheck on the route page. I'll bring you back to there. And now it's probably a good idea to get to the departure arrivals page. You'd ask for your clearance now. Just so we get runway 34 with Kepa departure. So I'll select runway 34. Notice here takeoff speeds have been deleted. That's fine. Just clear that. Kepa 7 is our departure route. Now you execute and come into the legs page just to make sure that you have no discontinuities. You can double check that on the nav display. Back to the initial reference page, and it'll take you immediately to takeoff reference, because that's what you're going to be doing. You remember that the speeds were deleted, so you have to bold them again. In the V2 you set in your window, so 171 knots, and we'll set that straight in here, 171. Some people plus 20 on that, but it's not really necessary. the autopilot system will automatically do that for you, add 20 knots on the climb out. That's pretty much the FMC setup. Now you start your engines and taxi. This is just a quick check of the overhead before you start your engines. This is how it should be set up. All your electrics for the engine control should be in normal mode. All of your IRSs should be in nav. Utility should be on for all and auto. APU should be on for engine start. APU power for 1 and 2 both open. The bus tyres auto generation continuous armed but off. And they'll automatically come on when the engines themselves related to those generators come online. Drives are covered. Hydraulic pumps all to auto. All the engine demand pumps armed. Lights as however you wish. These are the engine start switches, currently all in. Continuous ignition is off for the startup and the auto start is on. That's a fuel dump system, we don't need to worry about that. This is the fuel pump system. You have the cross feeds for the wing tanks on and all the wing tank engines on. I've left the semi tanks off for this stage. There's only 500 kilograms in there. We'll turn them on after we get airborne. Yaw dampener is on. This is manual pressurization system. They should be off and it should all be in auto, which is fine. Brakes I've got in normal mode. They can be turned off for the start, but on the PMDG you can actually leave them on in normal and it'll automatically change the status as it's required. Important one is here. APU bleed has to be on and engine bleeds are armed, ready to go once the engines come online. Another important thing is the isolation valves should have the bar inside them, showing that they're all connected. I'm asking for a push brake now. I need to go back about 55 metres, make a 90-degree turn to the left.
And ground cockpit. Hi, Captain. We're all set to go up here. We've been cleared to push and start at your discretion. Cleared to push. Brakes off. Here we go.
Okay, we're now cleared to start the engines. I'll start number 3 and 2 at the same time. We open up the throttles, introduce the fuel, and it's on an auto start, so it'll spool up the engines automatically, and you can monitor that. Get some spool on the N1, and then you monitor the EGT to make sure it doesn't go above the magenta line. Okay, I'm already taxiing now. This stage, sometime on the taxi, I'm the flight director and the autothrottle with those 2 buttons, and it should be announced on your primary flight display with flight director, TOGA mode for everyone. Also at this stage during the taxi you should arm the flaps 20 down and auto brakes should be RTO. The other aircraft has now landed and we're cleared to line up. So we just give it some boost and get on the runway. Our heading select is set to the runway heading 340 and we're on an RNAV departure, which means that we're on LNAV and VNAV for departure. Spool the engines up to at halfway up, 50% N1, and set Takeoff mode. Takeoff mode is set, speed increasing.
Rotate.
Rotating.
V2.
V2 plus the right. Gear up. Gear is coming up and I'm trying to keep the pink cross right in the center there. So lift down a little bit to center it. So you can see that plus 20 just happened. And now it's gone up to the flap extension speed, 220 knots or so. Flap 10 speed, flap 10. Still on air control. can see it wants us to push the nose down a little bit to accelerate. Speed is climbing through 200 knots, we're still above the yellow and the reds. Coming up to the flat 5 extension speed, 2,000 feet. I'm pretty happy now to set the autopilot in. Autopilot is now on, and you can tell that by CMD. As you can see, autopilot is just maintaining what the flight director says.